Today on Peliculas with the Bros, we review the movie Tar, and we have hot takes like, does Tar provoke the wokesters?
Is Tar the answer to the Me Too movement?
What's up, bro?
What's up, bro?
And welcome everybody to the show. This is Peliculas with the Bros. My name is Adrian.
My name is Ivan.
And Peliculas with the Bros is a show where me and my brother Ivan discuss a movie. Every week we discuss a new movie. Ivan, what's the movie of the week?
Tar.
Tar. But before we get into that, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We are a podcast, so if you like to listen to us and not watch us, you can listen to us on any podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Deezer, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, anywhere you get your podcast, we should be there. Just look us up, Peliculas with the Bros. And we're also on YouTube. Look us up there, Peliculas with the Bros. We should be there. So if you'd like to listen to two brothers talk about movies every week, you're in the right spot. So hit that subscribe button. Ivan, what's the movie of the week?
Tar.
Tar, written and directed by Todd Field. The premise of this movie, Ivan, is Lydia Tarr is a genius. She is a composer and conductor of the Berlin Philharmonic and is hailed as one of the preeminent modern composers. She is great and she knows it. She's sexy and she knows it. Sexy and I know it. I don't get that.
That's the song.
Really?
Yeah.
It goes.
No,
Isn't it more like like a very low bass line?
I don't remember anymore.
Like sexy and I know it. Anyways, we follow Lydia Tarr, as she prepares for her orchestra to record, as we see a master at work. Master composer, master manipulator, master control freak. Tarr has many secrets and schemes that begin to unearth themselves, and not even her genius can help her from hiding these machinations. You like that word? Machinations?
I love it.
There's some words sometimes that you just gotta pull out and flex on them. With the cast of Kate Blanchett as Lydia Tarr, Naomi Merlant as Francesca Lentini, Nina Haas as Sharon Goodnow, Sophie Cower as Olga McKenna, Julianne Glover as Andres Davis, Alan Corndamore as Sebastian Briggs, Mark Strong as Elliot Kaplan, and Adam Gopnik as himself. The great Adam Gopnik.
I don't even know who that was.
Do you know now?
No.
I'll explain later. Ivan, Tar is directed by a guy named Todd Field. His movies are just two other movies that he's made: In the Bedroom and Little Children. His career up to this point, he's been mostly an actor. He started acting like in the 80s, I believe. But his previous two films got critical acclaim. And I've only watched Little Children. I'm assuming you didn't watch any of his films. And it's been 15 years since his last film. So he's been on this big hiatus. In the meantime, he's been trying to get things off the ground as far as shows and movies, but they've all never come to completion for some are like budget reasons. Studios said like, no, we can't make it. It's too much. Others, I don't know exactly why. But it is interesting because he cites Kubrick as like a mentor.
Spiritually?
No, because he worked with him and he was in the movie Eyes Wide Shut. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Eyes
Wide Shut, and I guess he had a relationship with him. And I have more to say about that when we get to this movie, but it is interesting that he cites him as a mentor. How the
piece was conducted.
How this piece of a movie was conducted. This is a section where I don't think this works that well.
I liked it.
He likes it. How this piece of a movie was conducted. Basically, we
say piece was conducted.
How this piece was conducted. Ivan, how was this piece conducted? It was conducted. Well, I don't really know because there isn't much information about how this movie was made. But Todd Field wrote this film specifically for Kate Blanchett.
Nice.
They didn't want to make it without her. They planned to work on a different film, but Field couldn't find money to finance that. But now they're making this movie, and they made this movie. God damn it! And it's a good movie. Ivan, what'd you think of Tar?
It's good.
Nice.
It's classic.
It's a classic. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a good movie, Ivan. Interesting. It's an interesting movie. It's smart. It's smart, but it has like if you're just starting to watch the film, you feel like you just entered a film that's going to be too complex for you. Because it starts off really like in the weeds of classical music and like the things that I guess like they get really into the weeds of how you should listen to classical music, how this character specifically listens to classical music. And if you're just like tuning in, you're like, dang, I think I'm going to watch a really bad movie. Because if you don't know anything about classical music, you're like, this is all going over my head.
But us, we know.
Well, we know.
We saw Amadeus.
Yeah.
Come on.
We know Amadeus. We know everything.
Man.
But if you just stick to it, you find out that this film's smart, but not in the sense of like, oh, they're using like very highfalutin terminology that I need to really understand.
What's the word?
Heady?
It's not.
Highbrow?
No. Dang it.
I know. I knew once I said the second time that you lost it.
It starts with a P. Like
Pee-pee.
That was it.
This movie isn't pee-pee.
Yeah.
Presumptuous.
No, that's close.
Prejudice?
I hear it, but it's not there.
Persnickety.
No, that's like the closest thing that's ever gonna be.
It's like I was saying all the right words, but not the right one. But it's.
I'll think of it.
The movie comes off as like not snarky, but like it comes off as like
pretentious.
Oh my god, that's like way easier than persnickety. The movie starts off really pretentious, but that's not its intent. Or maybe it is its intent, like to make you feel like, oh my god, this lady's so much smarter than me, right? And then it just gets into like a real like slice of life in a genius's life, and it makes you realize how dark and deep this person really is. But that's a long-winded way of me saying that this movie is really interesting. It's engrossing. It's smart in a not obvious way, right? But I think the premise of the movie is something that we kind of like. It's kind of made for us, like me and you, because me and you are wokesters.
We are indeed,
and we love us some tearing down of these white supremacists. I don't know what I'm saying. But it's made for you and me because that was me just trying to be funny. But it's made for you and me because we look up to quote unquote geniuses a lot.
They're gonna say white supremacists.
Geniuses.
Yeah.
Kanye West is someone that comes to mind.
That's pretty much it right there.
That is pretty much it. But for me, like Kobe Bryant, people who are elite and we put up on a pedestal, but we're not really that elite. All of us, are we? Not even our good old, I was gonna say protege, but our mentor, Kanye West. He's not all that great. But this movie's made for us, right? The subject matter, isn't it? Did you know the movie was going down this route when you started watching it?
Not really. I mean, I assumed something. I was just watching it. Like, I wasn't like, where's this going to end up?
Uh-huh.
But then eventually, like, with the emails, I figured that's where it would go.
Right.
But I was there for the ride. And
it is a ride because, like you said, it is a movie that you just have to watch because it follows the main character, Lydia Tarr, over what seems to be like a month, right? Mm-hmm. And from the get-go, you you know that she's a genius, quote unquote. She's elite at what she does, being a composer. And little by little, they start building this character, and you understand who she is, what she goes through. But they don't tell you, they show you, right? And you learn all these things as you go on, and you start building up these ideas like, is she this kind of person? Is she good? Is she bad? What does she really do? Does she have a point? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what makes the movie work so well, because it doesn't tell you like, oh, this person's a bad person. Look at what they did.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come up with that idea yourself based off what you see.
Right.
I think that's how the movie really works. But the central theme is like power, right?
Hey.
No man can have that much power, and this lady has that much power. Lydia Tarr, graham cracker of a woman.
Graham cracker of a woman.
It's crazy, and it kind of like makes so much sense now. I love to see this movie because I can't recall watching a film that just gives you like insight, and very specific insight into like how power corrupts.
I thought it was a biopic until I finished it.
You thought it was based off a true story.
The whole thing.
And it kind of feels that way because they're using like real life people when they're talking about composers.
Yeah.
She's like the only fictional person in the cast, obviously. Like the rest of the stories and what they're who's in the story, but whenever they're talking about other composers, other people outside in the world, it's like real people. But man, just like, I think it's also really relevant too, because I've been hearing, and there's a lot of stuff coming out in the news more recently about like, specifically like coaches who, the Celtics coach who was in a improper relationship with like a staff member.
Oh, you told me about this. Right?
And they got suspended. And it's like, looking at it from the outside, it sounds horrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got involved with a staff member, and you also got involved with a staff member that was like in a relationship, like was married to someone in the organization. And then once you look at it through this lens, you see how like little subtle things that lead to the actual like bad thing that they do, how small those little details are that can get you caught up, you know? Like throughout the movie, you see Tar just like make passes in a very subtle way at one of the characters in this movie, and you're just like, don't do it. But you see how small those things can be, but at the same time, they're all sort of like methodically planned.
Mm-hmm.
I just find that super interesting. And how the director did it, like, he could have been so overt, you know? He could have been like, you're hot. You're my next protege. You're going to be the one that I want to be with you. But he does it where he lays the bricks just like one by one. And it just, I think it's very masterful how he did it. Ivan, this movie is dealing with a character that is vilified on social media for what is essentially
murder.
Is it murder? What did
Moida.
what did she technically
She's
do?
a Moida.
Moida, she wrote. Imagine like the Jamaican New York Moida, she wrote.
Brooklyn.
Baby.
What you call me?
What is she accused of? This character, Tar.
Essentially grooming. Essentially.
But like, okay. Is that bad? Grooming what? What are you talking about? Grooming like a dog?
Maybe. I didn't see the details of it all. But I'd say it's just mentoring, but with sexual favors. expected.
Right. And when you say it like that, that is bad. When you're mentoring with the end goal of it being
Something like to get something back.
right. But that makes me think like, aren't we all mentoring in a way to get something back? Like your gratification that you get back at minimum is like you feeling like you helped that person.
And I'll just say the sexual component of it is the where it turns into grooming and it's not mentoring.
Grooming and not mentoring. Right. I think mentoring is more like what you're saying. You're doing something.
They were already good. Like the people she was working with, it was barely even mentoring. It was more like giving them the opportunity to work, and then that's when she was like, "Hey, come here,
Yeah.
little lady," but a little less weird.
Overt. And the movie does something genius in the writing and the casting too, of totally flipping the script on us in this woke culture of having this evil quote unquote character being a woman, right? Like what better way to like flip the script and say like, all right, how can we make this a little bit more not insidious but like a hot take kind of movie than to have this be a lesbian main character.
Have it be a woman.
Have it be a woman. And also her being a lesbian. Like what if she was a woman and going for men?
I think that's like irrelevant. I think it was more that she was a woman.
But the thing that is weird for me though is that like she is essentially a man.
Whoa.
Right? Like how in the stereotypical way, as far as like,
I mean, masculine, but
she's
not
masculine, but she's in the stereotypical way again, that she's masculine. She's like in a male dominated area. She is attracted to females, obviously. And she is in power. Where usually the people that are that way are usually men.
Right.
Obviously, there's women that do have a lot of power too, but she's so masculine in that way. But just to have this slight tweak of her being, let's not make it a man, let's make it a lesbian. And now you have so many like things in your head that tell you like, essentially like you have to kind of just think differently. Because if it was a man, your immediate inclination would be like, this guy's bad. You can tell there's something weird about him. But her being a woman, lesbian character makes it so that you're more on edge of like, is she really evil? I don't think so, because she's a female, you know? It makes you have these second guesses that you probably wouldn't if you had a man.
Right.
Why do you think this character, like, what's her main motivation? Is it the glory of being this composer, or is it more so the attention she gets?
I think her goal is to have a huge legacy, but also she has issues that she can't work through, and that comes out through her being unable to control her urges.
Yeah, I feel it's like the inability to be happy with what you have that she is trying to work out. Like she has everything. She has like your ideal living arrangement, doesn't she?
No, Equinox.
When I saw that house, I was like, this is Ivan right here.
That would be like evil me. If I just went full evil, that would be my house.
Her and her partner with her daughter live in like the metro of Berlin in
Yeah.
like a swanky apartment.
Like a stone carved apartment on the 20 millionth floor.
Not only that, she has like an additional apartment for like her work space.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this lady knows what she's doing. And like that second apartment is a little bit like dirtier, but it works for the character.
It's still a great apartment.
I
too.
know.
It's
I'm like, I'll take that apartment.
Yeah.
Living next to that old lady. Yeah. When I saw that apartment, I was like, that's totally Evan. But yeah, I just think that this character is she's kind of faking it, thinking that she wants. I think she thinks she just wants to be known as the best and be the best. But with all this power, it's corrupted her. And now you see a character that is more driven by wanting everything that she can get.
Mm-hmm.
Wanting the attention of being known as the best. Wanting to make compositions that are the best. And wanting anything she desires.
Right.
Being, whether that's a female or whatever, you know? And I think the film, the director knows what he's doing as far as like setting us up, and the fact that it's a real good portrayal of power, you know. Like, and I thought about this about my like putting myself in this situation where like everyone succumbs to the drug of power.
Not me.
I don't know anyone, and like it's so hard to even like say that. Who's a good example of like a goody two shoes that did well in life?
Dalai Lama.
Dalai Lama. You don't know what the Dalai Lama was really like, you know?
It could be a pervert.
Wait until the expose of Dalai Lama comes out. And even like, I don't know, as we get to know more about the other characters, even her wife has like a dark side of like, she was saying to her, like, we could have planned of how we could have done this, just how we planned how you took over the Philharmonic, you know? Do you remember that scene? And it's like, she was complicit in some things too. Like, no one's really that pure.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me think of like, power is really like a very nasty drug.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it today. This movie is basically about like the culture today. And everyone from Kanye West to our president, any other president, they go through the same thing.
Right.
It's just scary, like, to think that once you get power, it's easily to be corrupted. Do you think it's even possible to not succumb to it in any kind of way?
Yeah.
It's possible to not succumb to it?
Yeah. But I think you have to be trained for it, like, ahead of time. Like, power therapy, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, Dalai Lama, I'm assuming he's a good person. Like, I have not, like, how he talks is, like, you just see purity and niceness in everything he says.
Uh-huh.
And he's, I don't know about most powerful, but he's, like, up there with...
Influential.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where he could just say, like, kill these people.
Yes. But he wouldn't say that.
Yeah. Just because he's not that.
Yeah.
But I think if you just, like... prep yourself, but also like you would never know if you would actually get it. Like,
yeah, how are you going to prepare for something that, I mean,
like, imagine going to therapy and saying like, look, I'm going to be the president. I need to prepare to have this much power. So fix me, doc.
Also, the person that wants to be the president doesn't want to be fixed.
Yeah.
In that way. At least they don't know it until it's probably too late. But the person that's seeking power doesn't want to say like, and also train me to not use the power for
it's like
evil.
Jedi.
Yeah, it's like, no, you're good. The reason most people seek for power is because they're broken and they want to fix something, but they're fixing it with the wrong solution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's deep.
They want control.
Yeah. And also, in your example of Dalai Lama, like he's the best suited to succumb not to succumb to power, because his whole I guess like ideology is to, like, materialism is nothing, right?
Yeah. Want nothing, desire nothing,
Right.
control nothing.
And he just rose to power because of like his message being so pure, and it just so happens that he got power, influence that way. I don't know. It's a super scary thing to even think about, because once you're given it, there's like almost no turning back.
Yeah.
Once Comedy Central gave Chappelle $60 million, he realized what it was, and then he's like, I'm out of here, you know.
Peace.
But I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he says like, I try not to listen to anything because I don't want to get corrupted by anything. Like he listens to people he trusts, and he's also super self-critical, which I think helps.
Chappelle?
No, Rogan.
Oh. Okay.
He's so self-critical of himself that he feels like he's built to be popular. But like, if you don't have that, if you're not self-critical, if you don't have I would even say like having a good team is very. I think people say they have a good team, they think they have a good team, but you never know.
I think at the end you just have to like have stone cold values that like kindness, purity, like do good. And if any actions are at all, like if you ever break that, like, well, just this one time I won't be kind, that's when it's like you messed up.
Yeah.
You just have to, if you have the power, you have to live by it, like those values to the T.
But that takes like you need like
Mental
to be that
fortitude.
way. Yeah, to be that way, you have to be a really solid person.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the idea of like that person that's seeking, the person that gets power, they get power because they're broken. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like the human condition is
I think, but people happen upon power. Like it's not like I need power. Like Elvis, he wasn't about power ever. I'm assuming
he wasn't.
He was just like doing his thing, and then it turns out his thing was like the most amazing thing ever at the time.
Right, but like I think what I'm saying is like the people who have a thing that they're really good at are usually good at it because they're broken some way.
Okay.
Whether that's Elvis, whether that's Michael Jordan, whether that's Kanye or Michael Jackson. Right?
Yeah.
Take all of those. They're all broken in some way. But they have this thing that, since they're broken, they have this thing that they're extra good at. And that always gets that extra thing will always make you, well, not always, but it's what brought them to the show, whatever show that is. So they're more likely to get to the show because they are broken versus someone like me who's, I would say I'm not broken, but me being not broken makes me mid. Right?
Right.
So it's hard for me to get to that next level.
Time to break.
So since I can't get to that, since I'm mid, but I'm not broken, it's like making me, I'm ideal for being popular, but I can't be popular because I'm mid.
What a weird way to think about it.
It's like what they say about comedians, like the best comedians are the ones that are like broken because they have like real pain in them. And they think they need to be in pain to be good.
Right.
Which I kind of agree with. And it's the same thing with like musicians that get complacent once they get hits.
Right.
And that's why Kanye is the best, because he's always been broken. And he continues to reinvent himself, and it's still good, still good. I think that's my hot take right there.
I feel like it's more like the ability to, or maybe ability or gift. I feel like it could be cultivated, but the ability to go into like the darker side of yourself.
Uh-huh.
Because I think if you can get to like the very, very darkness, you can like hop onto the other side, like the very, very brightness. Like Kanye, he has like super, super bright moments where it's like, this is the most human thing ever. But I think he could only get there because he saw how bad it is, because he's broken. So I think it's not even about being broken. It's just having the ability to see how bad it is,
Mm-hmm.
but being able to see like that reverse, like to see like the full spectrum. You have to be able to live in that darkness. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
And I think if you fix yourself, that's not going to be like, oh, it closes the gap. I think it's more like you have the mental strength to dip into that, go back, dip into that, go back. Because I think even this is like a little too much at times. Like you have to find that middle ground and have the mental strength to dip on both sides. But I think Kanye's like, poo, 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 poo. And that's like where bipolar mental issues come from.
But for this character, Tar, you're saying since she hit rock bottom somehow in her life before, she is able to attain this genius level of success?
I think you could either have it or you go through it.
Have it as in you're born with it?
Yeah, where you could just, it's like nature versus nurture kind of thing. But I think you could either have a moment where you're like super broken and then it's like Mad Men with Don and his stuff, Peggy and her stuff. Like they only were so good at their stuff because they saw how bad it is. So
because they went through rough stuff.
Yeah. But I think you can.
But that I think you're agreeing with me in the sense of, I was saying that the people who get power because they're broken.
Okay.
And you're saying Peggy, Don, Tar, they got power because they've been through the bad stuff. And your bad stuff, I'm assuming you mean similar to what I'm saying, that they're broken.
Yes. But I think there's just the missing piece of always working on yourself no matter what. Because I think like Peggy, Don, Tar, like they can dip into those sides. Like Tar, like she talked about Bach and how like he did all this bad stuff, but his music was like humble, like pure, whatever she said.
I think you're agreeing with me. I think we have the same point. I think the original idea that I had was that power is such a funny thing that power is interesting because the people that get power are the ones that shouldn't get power. They're not well suited to get power.
Okay. Yes. But I think we're entering a moment where like we understand what it takes to get there. And I think everyone wants to get there, like a legacy in their own way. It might not be president, but maybe like
a famous musician,
poet, best musician, whatever. And to get there, you have to know like that pure suffering, that pure happiness.
Yep.
But like the missing piece is to cultivate like mental strength to know when to stop, which is something I don't think we've like in our culture or American culture is not something that's cultivated at all.
Right.
Because we're more like quick buck, which means hurry up, get powerful, do all that. But if you do the work on yourself, that's going to slow you down.
Yep.
Because it'll be faster to just focus on getting powerful.
And it is like you said, now in our culture, it is something that is growing in as far as awareness. And what you're saying is basically mental health, like getting your mental health better, where you can deal with certain things better. And you do see that more and more in musicians that are they're understanding about therapy, and therapy is becoming a bigger thing in our culture overall. But when you're a kid and you're growing up and you're broken and you're sad, something hurts mentally, you think the fix is to escape it. And you say, what's the best way to escape it? Use my art or use this to get money, and then I'll be happy. But it's only until recently that the culture's saying, like, trust me, once you get that money, you won't be happy. And I think that's like our next level, what you're saying is too, right? Like to reach that next phase of our understanding.
But also it's like, I think the fear is that if we don't have that ambition, we won't make great things.
Yes.
But I think if you really just read books, and then I hesitate to say watch movies, but like absorb other art,
like Black Adam,
and then you just see like how bad it could get. Like I don't have to imagine a very good piece of art that shows you like true suffering. It could like awaken something in you, and you would be like, wow, this is how deep life is.
This is how bad people have it.
Yeah. And then same thing, like something so beautiful, majestic, you're like, wow, this is amazing. And that could like wake you up in a way without having to like be broken.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think it's more like I don't know.
I don't think it's cultivated a lot to be open to art that way. It's more like get that 100K a year. That's the goal. And then coast. Survive. That's like our culture. Just survive.
I thought you were going to say, I don't think we look at art that way.
Well, that.
As far as like, people don't realize that you can use art to become a better person.
Yeah.
In a way, right? As a tool. Instead, people make Black Adam. And
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like instead, people make what they think is art, and they make Black Adam, and then we realize like, oh, I thought this
but Black Adam is art.
I thought this was a tool to make my life better. Now you just made it blah. You just wasted 2 hours.
I see your point, but wrong movie. Wrong movie.
There was one scene you mentioned earlier that I want to get more in depth into, and it's the scene where Tara is in a classroom giving a lecture, basically.
Probably my favorite scene.
Yeah, it's probably the best scene. She owned him. And it's a scene where she essentially has one of the students try to understand music in the way she understands it and how it makes her feel. And she gets frustrated with a student who doesn't want to listen to Bach, right?
He's like a BIPOC person.
BIPOC pansexual.
Yeah. I'm not making fun of him. It's just like
the student is BIPOC pansexual, but I don't even know what that. I didn't know what it meant. I had to look it up, so I feel weird even saying it. But the student who identifies himself as a certain way doesn't like Bach because he
doesn't listen to Bach because he did. I don't know exactly what he did, but he did unethical things.
Right.
And he doesn't want to support that, so he doesn't listen to that.
Right. And then she gets frustrated at that because, like, her point is essentially it's not about what the person did. It's about what the art that the person did. And use the art. Take the art for what it is and leave the artist out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the way she described it in the scene was kind of, like, very persuasive. Like, it actually makes sense the way she describes it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a super difficult discussion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could take recent examples of Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, even a more recent one of Kanye West. Like, if you're a Jewish person Even if you're not a Jewish person, can you listen to Stronger the same way,
There's
knowing what he said?
a quote. I don't remember where remembered it. I remembered it when you said this. But it was about marble carvers, or what do you call sculpture? What do you call those people? Sculptors.
Sculptors, yeah.
I don't know who said it, but they said, "I'm not making anything. I'm just finding the
True form.
the form inside the block and letting it free." And I think that's that goes for literally every form of art.
Yes.
It's not about yeah, you put yourself into it, but I think ultimately you're carving something out of nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're letting it exist, but it's not really you who made it. You're more
you're exposing
you're chiseling it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what she was going on about. This art exists because of him, but it's not him exactly. And you're missing out on things that could make you the greatest. Listen to Bach, replicate him, be better, and then bam, kick him out. Now you're BIPOC better than Bach.
Damn. That'd be like a rapper name, BIPOC better than Bach.
BIPOC better than Pac.
But I ain't Bach.
Ooh.
Yeah, you're right. But you're also wrong because I can't listen to I Believe I Can Fly without thinking about the bad stuff.
I can.
You can?
Yeah. But I mean, I don't really listen to it either way.
I guess that's a good point too.
I still
if you can listen to it, then nothing should be wrong with that. As long as the person isn't making money. As long as the other person who actually committed said unsaid crimes.
I think if they're dead, what they're not gaining anything. There's no they're dead. They're not looking at their legacy anymore. With Bach specifically. Mm-hmm. Sure, you disagree with this stuff, but he's dead. He lost. You're alive, you know? Mm. We won. He lost.
Bach is kind of... that's a hard one because you're right. He is dead. And it's been
and nobody in his family is really profiting. All his stuff is free.
Bill Cosby.
I don't know.
Father, son, Hasaguchi. Can you listen? Let's just say we liked that kind of comedy. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Could you listen to it?
It's tough because I wouldn't. I think Kanye's the best because he's literally anti-Semitic stuff.
You know what's a good one? Tory Lanez.
Not for me.
Well, I think it's good for me. Well, yeah, you're right. It's a good example for me because I like some of his songs, and knowing that he could have shot a woman or anyone was kind of that's so hypocritical of me now even saying it because there's so many rappers who I feel have shot people.
I think it depends on what the art is saying. If it's Kanye and it's
beautiful,
it's Runaway, right? And what the hell? None of that is about anti-Semitism. But if that song had anti-Semitism isn't in it, then I would be okay, now I see the anti-Semitism that I didn't see before. But the songs, I don't remember what it's about, but let's say the song is about love.
Yeah.
It's still such a well-made song about love that has nothing to do with the bad parts of him.
So I can listen to I Believe I Can Fly by R. Kelly, you're saying.
I think unless he made that for a girl that he had weird relationships with.
What if he's making money off of that?
Is he?
I don't know.
I mean,
I just say he is. So hard. To me,
I still say
Cause like,
Look,
it's also him singing it, you know, and then you're like singing it with him, and you're like, oh god.
this goes back to like everyone is doing evil no matter what.
Yes.
Like your clothes, China,
Yeah.
China, made by.
So you're saying Chinese people are evil?
I'm almost saying that, but I'm not saying that.
Okay. What are you saying?
I'm saying there's unethical work practices in China that we look away from.
Nice. Good save. Uh-huh.
Yes. So if you're gonna start like choosing all these things, like you're gonna lose your mind being the perfect person
Yeah.
doing all these things because we're evil. Me and you, evil bros.
Evil Knievel bros.
I don't know what that was.
I think Evil Knievel makes you think of the devil.
A little bit.
Yeah. This happened recently where I was just like, if we look at anyone's closet, they're going to have something there. Like Brad Pitt, we talk about him so much, but we ignore that he possibly slapped Angelina Jolie and like pushed his kid down the stairs or something.
Jeez.
I don't know if that's true or not, but something like that happened.
Right.
I'm like, well, I'll choose not to think about that when I watch his movies because
Yeah.
And then like Tom Cruise and then just like anyone that we think about basically.
I think it's tough just because we can't really do anything ourselves. Like we could just not watch their movies, but really, like the true power is on the studios that keep hiring these people.
But they hire them because they make money, and why do they make money? Because we support them.
Yeah, but if they had any ethics in them, they would have stopped. Because it's on them. It's not on us.
That's so difficult.
I think that's how it has to be. Like
it's like you expect other humans to have more ethics than the us humans. Like the creator should have more ethics than the consumers. That's unfair. Like we should all have equal ethics. It's just a reflection of like our society that no one has ethics.
And we're both at fault.
Yeah.
Nah, they're at fault.
Like it takes mass education and knowledge for us to be like understand what each person did for us to be like, okay, you're right. I was just listening to Joe Rogan podcast and long story short, a comedian has a popular podcast and they always go at Garth Brooks. Like he's their meme. So much so that like whenever Garth Brooks posts on Instagram, all the comments are from that podcast. And what they're saying is like, you murdered someone. I know you did it. You murdered. And that's like the joke, like the inside joke.
Okay.
That he's a murderer. And it's like, what was my original point? What were we talking about before that? Consumers being right.
Oh, like the who's
Ethics?
at fault?
Who's at fault? Oh, damn it. Well, anyways, he Garth Brooks, the commenters, he gets comment blasted. Oh man, why was I even saying that?
Maybe the ethics of putting the comments on there.
No, damn it! It was like so good in my head, and now I completely lost it.
Oh no!
We were talking about consumers and creators and who's at fault, right? You said it. They're both at fault, and I said no. It's a reflection of our society.
Education.
It takes mass education. You have to have knowledge of everyone and what they did. Oh man, I don't even see it now. It is funny though, like how Garth Brooks is just like lambasted on all social media platforms, and it's because of this comedian who's just like found it hilarious how Garth Brooks is kind of like a robot, and he just persecutes him, and all his cohorts just follow that. It's kind of amazing. Ivan, what else do I have for you here? When I was watching this movie and like it's how much it uses classical music, I was just like, okay. I was telling myself, you don't need to know this. Just assume it's like the hip hop version of this. And what I mean by that's like Tar goes on this like long interview where she's like describing how music goes up and down, how it makes you feel, and I was like, yeah, I could see how this relates to like music, and I just kept thinking about like what would the hip hop version of this be, and like it would be so hard because hip hop isn't really something people get taught, you know, like in a classroom, and it's also littered with people who have sketchy background, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So it'd be so like, it's a landmine. Like everywhere you go, it's like, it's everywhere.
I think rap is pretty like one of the most unethical genres to listen to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, especially after this week.
Like what? I don't think there's any. Well, like what artist is good, like a good person? Like Kendrick, he just admitted, like he cheated on his wife. On his album, like, oh, guess can't listen to Kendrick. He's a bad person now.
Yeah.
Drake, he has several assumed allegations of
my gosh.
Yeah. Kanye is, you know. Oh, you know.
Oh, you know, guys. You're right. Yeah.
And then all these rappers rapping about killing people, selling drugs. Like, that can't be good for the soul of the listener. You know?
Yeah.
But it sounds so good.
It sounds so good, though. Yeah. I think, but there's also a way to like, we'll talk about that later. Ivan, New York Times review. Ready? This is from the great, illustrious A.O. Scott, probably one of the biggest film critics ever. Of this movie, he says, it invites you to think hard about Lydia, about the meaning of her work and her consequences of her actions, about whether she is someone you should admire or revile, about whether artists should be judged by their work or how they live their lives. In different contexts, Lydia herself argues both sides of that question, as many of us do, and to search the movie for a consistent argument is to point and fall into a category error. Misconstruing the extraordinary coup that Field and Blanchett have pulled off, we don't care about Lydia Tarr because she's an artist. We care about her because she's art. I think he has a great point there when he says, like, you try to figure out what the consistent argument of this movie is. Like, what is the director trying to say? And every time you're like, oh, I think I know. I don't think you can really actually know. Because, like, I don't think our boy Todd Field is saying, like I said, he's not saying she's a bad person. He's not saying she's a good person. He's just saying, like, this is what happens. I am showing you the story. You come up with your own conclusion.
I think, like, these people who do horrible things, well, I'll just use it. Like, she did a horrible thing. She's probably guilty, whatever. But she got her punishment. Like, she's not who she wanted to be at the end. Like, she was just making kind of useless music for weirdos at the end. But I mean, they probably loved it. So it's like, does it actually matter? Does the legacy actually matter if she's literally doing what she was born to do and the people are loving it still?
Right.
But, and then she's probably deeply unhappy. Like, I would say this is a worse punishment than just like straight up killing her, which is what I think a lot of the Me Too movement kind of, they don't explicitly say it, but they're like, get these guys, kill them.
Yeah.
Which is not really a solution.
Right.
It's just Band-Aid sort of thing. And then this movie just shows, like, you do this stuff, you're just, long term, it's going to bite you in the butt. Like, karma. It's going to come back. Even if she didn't die, her punishment is like purgatory, basically.
It's so funny to think about this, too, because, like, I feel like everyone has these up and downs. Like, everyone in the limelight has ups and downs like this, where like they're seen as bad or good, or when they're first seen as bad, they're then seen as good. I think about like Kobe. Like, people really hated him, and then he like his popularity, like his approval meter, went super high after he retired. And then I think of like George Foreman, who like as a boxer, everyone hated him, but after boxing, he was like one of the most loved boxers. Tyson, like hated love, hated love, hated love. Like everyone's gonna go through these like canceling moments. And even Kobe, like he got. That's the other thing too. I forgot to mention this when we were talking about like he got accused of rape.
Oh yeah.
And like there's a lot of evidence that he did say that he had a relationship with her, and so he cheated with his wife. It's like, damn, like no one is safe.
I think that's like tying back into what I was saying, like the deepness of like suffering and the joy, the heights of joy. Like to be Kobe, you would have to, like the Mamba mentality is like dipping into that evil, that energy, that viper, you know, and then using that in his work, which is basketball. And any artist can do that too. But where it bites you in the butt is when you go into your real life and then you forget to stop dipping into that, and then you dip into that at the wrong moment.
That's how he did there. Yeah. Like.
And it's just mental strength. And I mean, Kobe had mental strength out the wazoo, but for basketball.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know his therapy stuff, but I really doubt at that time he was going through therapy in any way.
Right.
Or like doing the self-work that people should do.
Yep. Another thing that I said in the beginning that that this director it's interesting about him and Kubrick, because I do see a lot of similarities. Like, even thinking about more so like his later work, Kubrick's later work with Full Metal and Eyes Wide Shut, just like movies that were more documenting a story than telling a story.
Right.
I don't know if documenting or just like they were filming a story.
Like there's no like cinematography panning down the sunshine going through things, stuff like that. Well, he probably had that, but it wasn't as intentional as in other directors.
And no, like they just wanted you to see a interesting movie.
Right.
That had complex characters who were good and bad. And it makes me think of like, where has this guy been this whole time? Like this is a good movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming he can make one every 5 years.
Yeah.
He's 3 movies behind.
He's taking his time. I respect it.
Okay. I respect that too, now that I think about it. What else here? Yeah, I think that's it. Ivan, let's rate this movie. Out of 5
Conciertos.
Out of 5 conciertos. How many conciertos is this?
5. No, sorry. 4.5.
Ooh, you scared me.
I would be a little more illustrative if it was a 5.
Yeah. That's
I got stuck on the 0.5 and it just came out as just 5.
Just blurted it out, didn't he?
Yeah.
4.5 conciertos for you out of 5
Yeah.
conciertos.
Yeah.
I give it a 4.25 conciertos.
Muy bien.
Ivan, so 4.5 conciertos out of 5. Why'd you give it 4.5?
I'm glad you asked. Because it made me think. I'm sorry. My rubric for how good, or it's not a set rubric, but a good amount of points go to the movie if it sticks to my ribs after it punches me, like Tyson in round 1.
He always hits hardest in round 1.
And I thought about it a lot, just thinking like, is she bad? Is she good? What does this mean? Like, am I sexist? I'm sexist. I'm misogynist. I hate myself.
Yep.
I gotta go to jail.
Not misogynist. What did she say?
Oh yeah, I love that, but I don't remember what she said.
I was like, damn, she's cold-blooded.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times. I gave it 4.25 because it is a really good movie. I don't know what it could have done better.
I think for me, fives are like if it's my bread and butter, and it's like that's why like Everything Everywhere was a 5.
Yeah.
Because it itself super like great movie.
Yeah.
And then the bread and butter, it's silly, it's funny, it's heartwarming.
You're basically saying like if it's my kind of movie,
yeah,
you have a better chance of getting a 5 out of 5.
Which is, I think that's a fair rating. Like, it shows my humanity a little bit.
Yeah, you're not a machine.
Yeah,
you have tastes.
Yeah.
That's it for Tar. Next week we'll be back with Armageddon Time.
Excited. Jeremy Strong.
It's funny that we're excited because of that. When he's probably gonna be there for 5 or 10 minutes.
I was excited already, but I saw he did an interview. You should watch it too. It's super good with Stephen Colbert.
Okay. I hate him, but okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yes, but he said that he only did this interview because he's so excited about this movie. And he says a lot of like super insightful stuff. And it's a good interview. You should watch it. Like he's like, I don't want to say genius, but he's very like aware of like the craft of like the art of acting, and it could apply to anything art.
He gets hate for being a method actor. What is your take? Okay.
That was a wet.
That was a good one too. Nice and wet. Ivan, it's time for a section we like to call Things and Such. Oh,
a lot of stuff.
Let me do that again. Ivan, it's time for a section called
Things and Such.
I did it.
Weird. Something's in the water.
Christmas content is coming, Ivan.
I saw like November 1st, a news post. Mariah Carey's already charting like top 100.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's just a machine now.
I was like grossed out. Like October just finished.
That's like an algorithm. Like that song is an algorithm now.
Yeah.
It's creepy. But I was talking about movies. There's a movie called Spirited with
heard about it. Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds.
Coming to Apple TV. I don't think it'll be good, but who cares?
I mean, Elf.
Deadpool. And then there's also the Santa Clauses. It's a series coming to Disney Plus with our boy Tim. Alan. I'm just kind of excited for Christmas content. Like Christmas content is generally mediocre, but I'm a Christmas boy through and through.
I hate Christmas.
You're the Grinch?
I hate Christmas and Wismas and little.
You're method acting.
I don't know.
You're the Grinch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have something else. Let me scroll down really quick. Avatar, Way of the Water. Trailer came out. Honestly,
looks a little basic.
What?
A little basic.
A little basic. I'm kind of scared that the movie is gonna be basic.
Yeah.
3 hours long, already reported.
Okay.
So schedule that in your busy life.
If it's basic, then the rest of the movies are poopy. Because I think like the biggest criticism that James Cameron should have seen is that like it's pretty cookie cutter generally.
And now you have like 10 years.
Yeah.
Let's put some complexity into
Yeah. Which like I think the humans are back. Is that like a thing?
Yeah. But okay, so I think when the movie first came out, everyone thought it was, people thought it was good, but they criticized, if it was criticized, it's because it was basic, right?
Yeah.
What if this is good because of the like visual look? Like it just adds another layer to it. Could it still be a good movie?
I think I'm over CGI in that way. Like I'll
But what if it's just like this CGI? You've never seen CGI like this.
It probably is, but one was enough for the novelty.
Okay. But
What if it is?
I'm just saying. I'm gonna hold you to that and see if it holds up.
Okay.
I think if it is like amazing enough, I'm gonna be like, no, it's a 4. Even though
Like,
because like I felt that with Top Gun, like it's basic, but it was since it was my first time watching it.
But Top Gun had like a tiny, like a tinge of self-awareness of its basicity,
I like
persnicketyness.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Avatar,
right.
I feel like James Cameron's a little like, he's the type to be, what was the word? We're pretentious.
Yeah.
He's the type to be like that and
Yeah.
be just way too into like the CGI of it, which is impressive, gonna move things forward. But with like how horribly CGI artists are treated these days, it might be a little bit annoying to see such a good movie and then the script's still like, wah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. That's a good point. We'll see. Elon officially has Twitter in his palm.
Interesting.
And couple things that are interesting to me about this is the amount of hate he's getting for like people are like mad that he's buying Twitter,
Haters.
and I think it's just essentially tied up to like him being kind of like anti-woke. He has like a anti-wokeness to him,
Yeah.
which is fine by me, but I guess people don't like that and whatever. But they're like, if he's buying it, I'm out. I'm like, all right, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The other interesting part is that this is like Succession, but real life. Because he just, reports are he just like fires like all of the board. He's laying off like half of the staff.
Yep.
And he's like, I'm going to make this efficient. I'm like, dude, this guy is Kendall in real life.
At first, I was like annoyed just because like he's kind of messing with like the community there. But then I was like, who cares? Like, if you don't like what he's doing, leave.
Yeah.
You could still use Instagram to do whatever. Like, is Twitter so essential to your work that it kills you like that?
Not even to your work. Like, people think it's like people use it as their life.
Yeah, which is like
communication tool.
Touch grass sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know? But if your product really needed Twitter that badly, then I don't think your product could have stood on its own well.
And I also think there's so much conflict and like negativity already in Twitter. Like, what is this guy going to do that's going to make it that much worse?
Yeah. If anything, it'll make it better, like a common enemy.
Yeah.
But it's like,
that's like worst case scenario. Best case scenario is he actually makes it better. Like, why don't you judge his actual work versus judging like...
And you can't do anything. Like, he bought it. It's his. You're using his toy now.
Yeah.
He can make whatever rules he wants.
Yep.
Because you're playing with his toy.
Yep. Get it. Beat it, punk.
Yeah.
It's so hilarious how it's like, it reminds me of Kendall and, what's it? Falter.
Oh, yeah.
Just, it feels almost...
Gutted.
Like, gut this. And then he's like, we can use the analytics. No, they're shit too. Just destroy the whole thing.
It's interesting.
And that shows how good Succession is too. How ahead of the curve they are.
Do you think it'll do some sort of ripple effect with other tech companies where they'll like realize maybe we don't need 10 trillion people working for us?
I think not so much that part of like the amount of workforce they have. I think it'll do some if Twitter and Elon takes it in a route where it gets better because of the inclusivity it has of like you won't get banned
Mm-hmm.
And if that actually works and he does it in the right way and it attracts a user base, I think you'll see more adoption from other tech companies to be like that too. Where they're like,
Gutted.
oh, we can be anti-woke too, or we can like be anti-woke and woke and not and still succeed. Let's do that.
I mean, there's really no rules on the internet at all, like government-wise. Like, there's no. Is there?
There is. I mean, there is, right? Like, Kanye got banned from social media.
No, but that's not the government. That's people putting their own morals on it. It wasn't like the government said Kanye was anti-Semitic. Any company that works with him, you're going to go to jail.
True, but the government can do that in a way. They can use their influence.
But they can't force them.
You wouldn't know if they did.
Oh, they would just like get the guy in a body bag, beat him up, put him back.
Yeah, like they'll tell Zuckerberg like, we don't want Trump on. Don't put him on. And he's like, okay, but you can't tell anyone who said that, and just say it's your decision.
You sure of this?
I mean, there's been reports of like how entrenched the government is with like tech companies. It wouldn't surprise me that
if it's weird for that to happen, but there wouldn't be any like I'm forgetting words today, but
okay.
like real legislation about internet like safety and stuff, because there's like gun laws, and I think the internet, it's weird to compare guns to the internet, but there's a lot of power in the internet that is really unchecked.
Mm-hmm.
But if the government's in the internet the way you say they are, it just seems weird. Like, why don't you just do it normally and then?
Well, that's a good point. I think the part that is missing is that there really is no laws in the internet. So it is open in that way, and when it's open that way, companies can do whatever they want, but the government has to find a way to, in the meantime, while there is no real law, to exert their influence. So they'll do it the way they can, and that's by like doing what they're doing.
I think these tech companies are way stronger than the government right now.
And they could be, but it's very nasty. Just like a lot of tech companies are funded by the government, like via
but even then,
weird
like I feel like if I had a tech company and I got government funding, like I would know the government is kind of like stupid with tech in terms of internet and social media. So I'd just be like the Volter people, like give them like spoof data or stuff like that.
Right.
I feel like I could trick them. Maybe that's just me.
But then they'll be like working against the government.
Yeah, but I would think that Zuckerberg would do that. Like, I'm kind of going off social network, but
I don't know. It's complicated, and I think that's one of the things that people why they gravitate towards the blockchain, because it's an idea. The idea is like decentralized. So Facebook is owned by the people versus by Zuckerberg and his chair. What is it? The board of directors.
Yeah, board.
And no one can ban anyone because the computers are everywhere, and you need like everyone to agree, type of thing. So yeah. What else do we have here? Ivan, do you have anything to say about God of War Ragnarok?
No. I don't have a PS5.
There's PS4 now?
Is it on the PS4?
Obviously, you don't care.
No.
Why not? Done with games?
I'll play it one day, but it's not.
Top of mind?
No. Like, if someone like gave me a PS5 and God of War, I'll be like, okay, I'll play it. But it's not something I want. No.
The audience out there.
Give me one, boys. But it's...
And when I say boys, I'm talking to
girls.
The boys. Yeah.
Like, I'm excited for it, but not enough for me to go out and get it in any way. Like, I'll play eventually and still enjoy it. That's like one thing I learned. Like, for games, like the spoilers don't really get to me because the real enjoyment I get is actually playing through it,
Right.
not seeing it. So I can wait.
It's the execution.
Yeah.
Cool. I have a time for a section called "What's on the Telly."
No.
Really? Me neither. I saw one movie called The Good Nurse on Netflix. It was
Good
an interesting story, but
movie.
no way I could pass. I actually just have been MIA from content like that. But you know how we were talking about the coach, Boston Celtics coach,
Yeah.
Ime Udoka?
Steve Nash.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Give me a rundown.
Ime Udoka suspended 1 year
Uh-huh.
from coaching because
Kyrie Irving.
the Celtics were like, you had an affair with coworker.
Yeah,
Coworker
yeah, yeah.
was married to someone. You're out of here for a year.
Yeah.
Nets are going through a thing where Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, they don't like their coach, and they were trying to trade the players, but the team couldn't find a trade that made sense for them, so they kept the players, kept the coach. After 6 games, they fired their coach. Players act like they actually like them, but they're lying because they're the ones that requested him to be traded. Steve Nash.
Isn't he? I thought he was liked. Wasn't he?
He's liked. These players are just confusing. Like, these are like the most complicated.
They're babies.
They're babies. And then Kyrie Irving posts on Instagram a photo of a movie, and the movie's basically has views that are like anti-Semitic in some way. I don't know why exactly, but there's some views that are anti-Semitic. They asked him, like, why'd you post that? Why? They said, why'd you promote that? He's like, I'm not promoting it. If I'm putting it, that doesn't mean I'm promoting it. And they're like, okay, then why'd you put it? He's like, I don't have to answer, and I'm not gonna back down.
So he is, though, by not answering. That's.
I know. And then they're like, you can't just. People were just talking like, you can't post that and not get away with, like.
You gotta explain something.
Yeah. He's like, I don't have to explain anything. And I'm like, okay.
It's like, I don't have to explain why I shot you.
And then, like, so that went on for like a week, and then finally, like, yesterday, the Nets and Kyrie put out a statement saying, like, we're gonna give $500,000 each to charity. I shouldn't have posted that.
Okay.
Blah blah blah. And he's like, there were some views in the movie that I don't agree with, and I don't think are right. So blah blah blah. And then they asked him today, like in a press conference, and he's like, I forgot exactly how he worded it, but basically he said, I didn't make the movie, so I'm not at fault.
He's an idiot. Like, pure idiocy. Like, I think his thing is that my read on it is that he and Kanye, they have this idea that Jewish people own the world. And I'm sure it's true. No. I'm sure there's like that their culture is super tight knit and stuff like that, right?
Uh-huh.
And they have to stick together, and they build each other up. They help each other up.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they were able to become powerful people, but powerful in a way where people who, like a community that comes together, they would be powerful. But I think Kyrie and Kanye just see this culture, and they're just like super jealous of a culture that could come together and have this strong community. but the way they say it, it translates into Jewish people own the earth, which is not the right way to say it at all. There's nuance.
And that's the thing. There's no nuance to what Mr. Irving put on his Instagram, because if you post a photo and don't say anything with it,
Yeah.
and refuse to explain yourself, then what am I supposed to believe? What am I supposed to think about? Like, am I supposed to think that you do agree with this, that you don't agree with this, that what are you trying to say? If you put out a statement with the Instagram post saying like, I don't agree with a lot of things that this movie says, but it has a couple interesting facts, then that would be great. And I think there's that's true. Like, there's a lot of things that people say that aren't right, but there are things that people say that are right. And that is possible. Someone can be racist and smart. They're just using their racism for a bad thing.
Lydia Tarr.
Yeah.
She was a genius, but groomed
her individuals. And I think what's going to happen soon is, like, Lakers were in the race to get him in, like, a trade before the season started. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Because I felt he was good, but I also was thinking, even if it's like, I want to see the fireworks.
Right.
But now I'm at a point where, like, no.
Explosions more.
I don't want to see the fireworks as much as I thought I did.
They're kind of collapsing on each other, like basketball.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad. And then the cherry on top, they're like, how can we fix the situation with our head coach? Let's get the guy that got suspended a year for committing this act.
Oh, so he got suspended.
And
they got Steve Nash. They didn't like him, so they got the bad guy back again.
No. Yeah, they got him from the Celtics.
Oh.
This is a different team.
Okay.
So they have all this controversy with Kyrie, and they're like, let's add a little more fire to the flame and get this guy.
If it's a mess, like, to us, imagine how bad it is to them. Because they're covering things up. They'd have to, like, this is their best attempt to making it look nice.
Yeah.
So it must be destruction behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, man. That's it for that.
So LeBron's going to retire, like, at the worst moment of basketball?
At the peak. LeBron's like, I'm out of here. These guys are crazy.
He should, like, retire right now.
Like, LeBron was teammates with Kyrie. And Kyrie's like, I don't want to be here with LeBron. He takes all the spotlight. And then he went to a team where he was like the star. And he's like, I need people. This isn't enough for me.
What do you mean?
Like, I'm describing it horribly, but the thing is, my takeaway is just that Kyrie's like never happy, and he's like destructive.
He has issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird. Ivan, let's talk about some sad news with a section called "Really Be Bussin'."
A little inappropriate, if you ask me.
No. Coming in hot, but we're gonna take it down slow. Ivan. RIP to our boy Takeoff.
Takeoff.
Where do I start here with this?
I think he was like, this is the first rapper in a while where I was like, him? Like, not that anyone deserves it, but a lot of the smaller rappers are very much into their gang life still. So when they get killed, it's like, well, they were still gang banging. Not that, like, I'm saying they deserved it, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
But with Takeoff, I assume he's been out or just out of...
It's a lot to assume, though, but yeah. I understand that same feeling, too. Like, and you don't see it as much as the other ones.
Yeah, because he's so established. I assumed he's, like, living in Beverly Hills with the Migos in their little trap house.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but...
And when we say trap house, it's, like, a nice trap house.
Yeah.
Like, trap house has, like...
Like Lydia Tarr's house.
Yeah.
Same exact granite carved home. But yeah. When I heard he died, I was like, what? Like, is he... What? Why him?
Yeah.
Like, it feels... Him dying makes it rappers feel especially vulnerable. Like if it's him, literally anyone. But that's like the mentality we should have had the whole time. I just hope this. I mean, it's the same conversation each time. I hope this wakes rappers up.
Yeah, I for one just don't want to listen to any music that involves violence. Like, it feels so nasty now. Like, it should have felt nasty 10 years ago, but as I get older, I learn more, and I'm just like, we're just helping this thing become a beast that keeps on. It's like a cancer. It keeps growing.
It's going to be interesting in like 60 years when we're like looking back at this moment of rap, or like, I mean, this has been going on for what's like 40, 30 years?
Rap?
Yeah, like this
Yeah.
era of like gangster.
Oh, since the 1990s, early
Like
90s.
30 years?
Uh-huh.
Less than 30 years? Well, in 6 years, it's going to be interesting to see how unhealthy we treated this era. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same way we, like in Mad Men, how they saw smoking. Like,
Right.
like women's health said it'll kill you, and they're like, it'll kill you? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And nobody believed it.
Where the doctors recommend smoking.
Yeah.
Right.
But in 60 years, like, rap was not a healthy thing we were doing back then.
Yeah, and it was like, I think it hit hard too, because I guess a lot of reasons, just like when you think of Migos, you think of fun. In
It's
a way.
like Migos 3, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's never 3 now. Like Migos are done. That's it.
And then a horrible thing is like the worst thing is like I wake up early and then that's the first thing I see, and then I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I'm looking through Twitter, and then people are posting the video of like not him
I
getting
haven't seen
killed,
it,
but
yeah.
and I was like, people are actually posting that, and people are like oh my, and they're reposting it saying like, oh my god, just like saying like he died and posting it, he posting it in different ways. I'm like, that's another reason our society is like messed up. Just like the ability to, not even the ability, but like not seeing how wrong it is to post that.
Yeah. I always felt gross like when more details came out. Like it just felt too personal. Like the most I want to know is like he died by this. I don't really want to know more than that. Like after that, like what's the use? Oh, jinx. There's no use to it. It's just pointless knowledge that will just get me mad. Like after you learn it, I think the only thing you should do after is just mourn.
Yeah.
Like just either listen to the music or don't.
Yeah.
But just mourn.
And then knowing that this comes after they release their album, him and Quavo.
Unconfused,
right?
Unconfused.
And you know Quavo was there.
Yeah.
And that's so sad.
And then the Migos weren't like on best terms.
Yeah, and that's even sadder knowing that Offset had like not a probably beef, but they probably weren't talking, you know?
Yeah.
Just that feeling of regret and just sad all around.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a discussion on the Joe Budden podcast where they're like, what can we really do? And I think what you can do is just like, don't listen to that kind of music. And I don't know, like, it goes back to our discussion about whose fault is it?
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's both of our faults.
I think don't listen, but also, like, with the megaphone, all rappers stop rapping about violence and murder.
But then it's like free speech. I guess, like, there's a reason why people should be able to talk about it, but maybe not glorify it.
Yeah. Like, rap about how it's messing you up, how it's not good.
Yeah.
And I mean, it sounds corny, but there's ways to do it where it's not corny. Kanye West. Not that he is like Kendrick, yeah. Perfect.
Yep.
Do it that way. And it's harder, yeah, but it makes better music. Makes you better person. Harder it is, the better it is.
Rest in peace, our boy Takeoff.
Yes, sir.
I wish I could play music. Takeoff was the best, like literally the best rapper.
Methodical.
His wordplay was so fast and like
Most underrated Migos, but
definitely.
I think he didn't really care about it.
Nope.
But
anyways,
that's it.
Drake and 21 Savage. I like this album. It lost its luster for me after I heard that Takeoff passed away.
I'm still excited. I'm sorry.
They released the album cover. Perfect album cover.
Did you see their ad or their promotions?
No.
They're doing like fake versions of, like, they're parroting what other artists do. So they had a Vogue magazine made of like them graffitiing like her loss and like all over Vogue. But they made it look like they actually got a Vogue cover and stuff. And then you remember the Tiny Desk concerts?
Yes.
They did their own.
Oh, really?
Like unassociated with NPR. And then NPR is like, this is great. I hope you do a real one with us. But it's just interesting to see like them
hijacking.
Yeah. Like they're just parroting it. But it's kind of like punk in a way. Like you don't need anyone.
Right.
You could just do whatever you want.
Yep.
Because they're parroting. There's parody law.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything bad about it.
Yeah.
I think if anything, NPR is just jealous that like, oh, they realized they don't need us.
Yeah, they have a platform big enough where they don't need us.
Yeah.
That's dope. Comes out in a couple hours.
Her loss.
I listened to Smino, his new album.
Yeah.
Underrated artist. Like,
he has a good sound.
Great unique sound. He doesn't have that many like bangers, but his music's more like you can just listen to it and it's good hip hop.
Like throw that on a playlist of like good stuff. Nobody's gonna be like, "What's this?
Right.
Who put this on?"
Right.
Like they'll enjoy it, but they also won't be like, "Are you hearing this?"
Right.
It's just good.
It's like a mix of, to me, I hear like a lot of Outkast and just like a funkier Outkast.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Mm.
Meek Mill announced that he's gonna have a Dreams and Nightmares 10-year anniversary concert in Philadelphia.
Okay.
I don't really care about that, but what I care about is the idea of like, I would love to go to a concert where artists play like what I think is their best album. I was thinking about this for The Weeknd for his like House of Balloons.
Yeah.
I like love to listen to that. Just
it would be super cool. Like I would be mad that if he did this, but if Weeknd did like a House of Blues size concert for like friends and family, but like streamed it, took pictures, whatever, and it just like, this is just intimate stuff.
Yeah. So you're talking about Unplugged.
So is that did I just accidentally make something that exists?
Yeah, that's like MTV Unplugged back in the day.
I mean, it would be super cool.
Yeah.
Or even like a live album. Just do that.
Yeah.
And it's like we get that still, but he can also be super cool with have Drake, Obama, have everyone there. Just picture the crowd. It's all iconic people. That would be insane. And he could do it too.
I was also thinking like Lil Wayne mixtape era, like him to do that. Smaller the venue. Now that you're saying it, smaller the better.
Yeah.
Drake, Take Care. I would love to listen to that. Intimate venue. I can't believe that I went to the Take Care concert when he was touring that, and his opening acts were Kendrick and ASAP Rocky.
Jeez.
Kendrick just released like Section 80, and Rocky had yet to release his debut album. He was there with Ferg. And then Drake was like, "These guys are the future. Watch out for them."
Now he's scared of them.
I know, right? Like, Kendrick took like trying to take the reign of greatest rapper, and then ASAP taking his girl. God, how things go.
Oh well, sucks
Yep.
to be him, but not really.
Music for you?
Nah, just been like skipping around things I remember, but nothing concrete.
I listened to Blonde. I was like, this guy. You know what's really grown on me? Steve Lacy's album.
His new one.
Yeah, it's so good. Like it's a la Channel Orange, but more simpler as far as the songwriting and the song structures. But like his melodies are just spot on.
Yeah, I think my
And it's a universal love album.
gross.
So good.
Theoretically, I should like it.
You
But
should, yeah.
My thing now, which has always been my thing, but I'm putting it more in concrete. I'm chiseling out the sculpture of my values.
Yes.
I'm waiting for the geniuses to come out. I'm waiting for the next Kanye or whatever's better than Kanye.
Uh-huh.
But I think I'll just do I'll keep my ears open, like release radar, like listen to the hits, fall in love with like one Steve Lacy song. But I just want an artist where like the whole album I'm like, wow. And it's like a big ask, but strive for that.
I think Steve Lacy is doing that for me with this album. Like I'm just like, wow, this all like it's probably one of my favorite albums of the year now.
But it's also because I feel music, like so much of the sounds have been made.
Yeah. Okay. But I think that won't change.
But
We have this discussion all the time.
But with other art forms, I feel like there's still room to grow where things haven't been said. It's just music, since the sound is so important, but so many sounds have been made. Right now, I think lyrics, I know we talk about it, lyrics are what really matter. The script is what matters. And I don't think there's like that awakening yet in music yet.
Right.
Maybe there's some awakening somewhere, but there's no mainstream awakening, which was what I want.
Mm-hmm.
But with like movies, there's still more to be said. Like movies, shows, Succession. Like like when I watched Succession, I was like, this is pretty futuristic.
Yeah.
And
Modern.
Just
future.
because we don't really have shows like that anymore, or lately. But shows are starting to get more and more like that.
Mm-hmm.
Same with movies. And then just, I know there's a ton of books, but I still think there's more to be done with writing in every way.
So you're looking for that for music.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's even harder now too, because like you won't see things. I don't even see Succession impacting the culture that much. Like since everything's so divided as far as content, it's hard for things to really break through and influence the mass.
And I think the kids are just naturally going to music because since music is so accessible, like 3 minutes, you already heard the whole song. You already heard the whole piece of art. Whereas, like, I guess the next hero would be like actors. I guess you could be an actor.
Music is more for the youth though too.
Yeah.
Like as you grow older, you stray away from music, and you go towards more literal.
But I mean, Bach.
But he was like 17, wasn't he, when he made all that?
But Lydia Tarr, she was like 40.
Classical music. That's your spot.
I'm getting there.
We'll see. I think there's still good things coming out.
I just want genius.
I think you have I think you're just like growing old and you don't even realize it. And it's so hard to see genius once you're out of it.
I just want genius.
There it is. Well, we'll be back next week with Armageddon Time. Ivan, any parting words for the beautiful people?
No.
All right, people, we'll see you next week. Peace out.
Bye.